Welcome to Colney Talk podcast.
Hello everyone, hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to another exciting episode of Colney Talk podcast, your bite-size breakdown show. I'm your host Alex. First time listener, glad to have you here. And to my returning guests, thank you for sticking with me. As always, I talk a bit about the Arsenal match and pick out my top 3 Arsenal players who shined and one odd player not good enough I get to call out. Arsenal's opening Champions League group stage match, a tense, grinding 0-0 draw against Atalanta. Yes, it's the first game of the Champions League format, and it wasn't exactly the high-flying spectacle I hoped for, but let's be real, you never know what to expect in this tournament. This one, well, it was all about grit and defensive fortitude, plain and simple. Atalanta couldn't overpower Arsenal's defensive determination, and that's something to be damn proud of. The game kicked off with Arsenal deploying 4-3-3 formation, and we saw Rice back in the starting lineup, Havertz slotted in the midfield, and Jesus playing up top. I thought there would be some scoring flair with Jesus as the lead man here, who has a love affair in this tournament and usually turns up. Atalanta playing at home came out to intimidate us, setting up with a compact shape, a high press that stifled any chance for Arsenal to stretch the field. Right from the get-go, Arsenal struggled to create any real attacking rhythm, but it's the first game. I know Arsenal can find their way, figure out the team, not really show their hands or what they intend to do, but it wasn't like that for this game. Our only first half chance came from Saka's free kick, forcing a save from Atalanta's keeper. That was about as close as we got for a breakthrough. I mean, for the most part, Atalanta's press forced us into sideways build-up passes, nothing wrong with that, and there wasn't much going forward in terms of momentum. It's, again, the expectations to show a little bit of our attacking flair or strength that we possess, especially with the qualities up top. But that wasn't there. Instead, Arsenal were in control defensively. We lacked any real sharpness going forward. We didn't look dangerous at all. No confidence in the attacking third, if we even had any, and no real outlet in counterattacks. The outlet typically seemed that it would be coming from Martinelli. He did some of that in some ways, but it just didn't click. It didn't connect. It was like the spark had gone missing. With Ødegaard absent, we were clearly struggling to find a creative hub. Our attacks seemed disjointed, almost as if we had lost our sting. Jesus was having an off night for me. There was no hold-up play from him, and he's really good at doing that. And he wasn't able to link up effectively with Havertz and Saka. Havertz had those good runs and passes. The combination movements between himself and Jesus seemed like it would produce that link up, and it seemed like Jesus was going to be doing a lot of that hold up, releasing it for Havertz, or vice versa. But I mean, credit to Atalanta as well. They didn't just sit back and let that happen. They really snuffed us out. Despite the lack of offensive punch, our defensive awareness was outstanding. I mean, the back line were rock solid, dealing with Atalanta's attempts to exploit the spaces. It was a tactical match with endless passing combinations to unlock some space in our defensive third. Although we weren't creating much, we kept Atalanta's threat at bay, and that kind of gave me a little bit of relief that, okay, we are holding up this, threat that Atalanta pushing at us, and they didn't really have much luck penetrating into our box. Arsenal had a few passes that seemed like we could do something in form of a counterattack or a little bit of exposure in the back, but it crashed out so quickly that we just reverted back into quick transition defensively and just staying off the ball and having it in front of us. And that was pretty much the first half. The second half kicked off with much of the same energy. Arsenal continued to look defensively sound, and that was, again, something to applaud. But without a real attacking outlet, I asked myself this question: could we just make one mistake and now find ourselves scrambling and throwing everything out. But I didn't want to think in a negative way. We just couldn't come up with a good rhythm, and that kept, that feeling around. But, I just had to believe this team, which they've not, given me any reason not to. And Atalanta, as much as they pressed harder, we found ourselves on the back foot for much of the game, but enough to hold up and just absorb all this pressure. Then the turning point of the match came with a bizarre penalty against us. Soft, weird, didn't really happen. Was it an effect into the slip in our box? It's a debate, but I don't think it's that much stronger debate for the penalty. But Atalanta had this golden opportunity to take the lead from the spot, but David Raya again. David Raya, Mr. Golden Glove. And another one. I mean, this Raya isn't human, yo. He isn't. It's not even funny anymore. He pulled off an incredible penalty save, keeping us level and firmly in this game. After that, the subs we made felt like Arsenal woke up a little bit, realizing we had to step up a bit more to push forward, or if we didn't, we were going to be punished. Definitely my thinking. But while we became more defensively solid, there was still no cohesion in attack. There was one massive opportunity for Martinelli, who found himself in a great position to score, but he scuffed it real high, like big head slap for me. Like, we cannot keep holding up hope for him. I mean, he's got it. He when that happened, I just said he needs extra attacking training, some other thing to just bring that sharpness back, because that was it. That was his goal, and that was the chance in the game when we were pounded to the ground and defensively we were staying and holding up. It's just that one chance, that one moment, and that was it. This huge miss from Martinelli was that representation of a team that was just playing defensively, and one chance they had, bang, go. That was it. And then we had to defend and retain the lead. We missed that chance, and especially in the game where we had no chances at all, not even meaningful combinations to shot attempts, that was huge and quite disappointing. Atalanta refused to call off their own press, but Arsenal stayed resilient. That was just the mantra for us in this game. The introduction of Sterling and Calafiori brought some fresh energy to our side, but it was clear that we were playing for the draw at this point. We worked extremely hard off the ball, forming a well-oiled defensive unit, especially when these subs came in and they just knew the assignment. That was brilliant. At one point, it almost felt like we were down a man because of how deep we were defending and how tight we kept everything. In the end, though, the effort paid off. Atalanta couldn't overpower Arsenal's determination, and we walked away with a hard-fought point. This won't be the last on pretty football from this Arsenal team, but in the long Champions League campaign, sometimes it's about grinding it out, folks. And we did that. While the defensive display was a highlight, offensively, Arsenal just didn't click. For sure, this is one of the growing pains of not having Ødegaard, but we should have an answer or some replacement in some way, in some form. And we're probably working it out. And to keep our attack in high gear while he's absent, we just gotta figure something out. Without him pulling the strings in our midfield, our build-up play looked slow and disjointed. Havertz slotted in. He was playing his butt off, and he was doing the right things. But something he can be in both places, making the runs, getting the balls, and those connections. And we were playing a very tough Atalanta team, so credit to them defensively as well. The lack of cohesion up front was a glaring issue. We managed just 2 shots on target in the entire match. And that's just not good enough for a team with Jesus up top, who was just largely anonymous, failing to hold up the ball or create meaningful chances. Martinelli and Saka were trying to make things happen as they usually do, but without the right service, they couldn't break down Atalanta's disciplined defense. I'm just saying this with some acknowledgement that this is one of those first tough games without Ødegaard, and we had to just figure out how the team would look and play without him, or thinking about him coming around anytime soon. But if this is the trade-off where we have to live with for now, solid defensive playing and how we are in tune to that at the cost of attack influency, I'm okay with it. I really am. It's a long season and we need to rotate and adapt when key players like Ødegaard are missing. Hopefully not for long, or they can get back, sooner. The idea of the next player up is always there, but it goes much further in getting that player to come in and be really impactful, and that's what we're hoping for. Okay, let me dive into my top 3 performers for this match. First guy, as you know it, Raya. Nothing more, nothing short of world class in goal. His penalty save in the second half was the moment of the match, and he played a lot of crosses to open up Atalanta's high line. Without him, we could have easily lost the game, hands down. That's it. He was the man of the match, not even no close debate. He showed tremendous reflexes and composure under pressure. Second player, Big Gabby. At absolute rock. His physicality and ability to just clear with aerial duels were crucial with Atalanta's forwards. He made key interceptions, blocks, and especially in the second halves when it was now crosses in the box, Atalanta piled on a lot of pressure, and his partnership with Saliba was the bright spot in our defense. And third and final player, as you expect, Saliba. Incredible at the back as well. He handled one-on-one like a boss, drove up the ball with ease. His position and anticipation, just simply outstanding. One of the clearances in the box for this game was his signature defending. I'm sure it's going to be the highlight for this game, which didn't show much excitement, but just defensive duels. Well, as you may suspect, my odd player today was Jesus. Not an eventful performance from him. As the focal point of our attack, he failed to make any impact. His hold-up play, non-existent. He couldn't link up well, even with Martinelli, that I think he has a natural chemistry with. I expected more, especially from him in a game where chances are hard to come by, and he has a little bit of a turn up when the lights are turned on for the game. I guess you could say he's building the backup, but I mean, we need it now. We need something, and he has to find it and dig much deeper to get it. All in all, this was a game where Arsenal's defensive determination showing through. We may not have been at our best going forward, but our resilience at the back earned us a valuable point. Sometimes it's really about grinding out results, and today we just did that. I'm sure Arteta will have to address this lack of creativity, but for now we can be proud of how the team dug in and held firm. That's something we'll build on for sure, and as we move forward for the next game, it's a good warm-up or prep for what we are going to be doing exactly, and hopefully we can translate a little bit more attacking threat going forward. All right, that's it for this episode of Colney Talk podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, take care, and off you go.